Hello, everybody. Namaste. And thank you so much for inviting me, Omidyar, and especially Varad Pandey, to join you in this virtual conference on open digital systems, or what they're calling it as NODE. First of all, let me say that I'm really delighted to see so much converging, not just in India, but also globally, around this idea of creating enabling infrastructure to address some of society's most critical problems and to reduce the friction to collaborate between all the actors that are needed to solve societal problems, which is Samaj, Bazaar, and Sarkar. That is society, including civil society, the state, of course, and markets. So, because we all know, and I don't really need to stress this too much to all of you, that our problems in the world are so complex, that they're so large and they're so dynamic, that they are not just complicated, they are complex. So what we keep saying is that if you are to send a rocket to the moon, it's not easy, it's definitely complicated. But in fact, it is much more complex to educate one child and raise one child to become a human being that has achieved her full potential. So like that, there is education, it's all these problems which keep evolving, keep changing. Sometimes the solutions you create lead to newer problems, require us to have a holistic, systemic way of thinking about how all of society, including state and markets, can begin to address that. And over the last few years, because of the many technologies that have converged, we have been able to see a kind of breakthrough thinking, which is what Omidyar is also referring to, that maybe in this 21st century, we will be able to create shared public infrastructure that reduces friction to collaborate. And there will be a digital backbone that it has, a technology backbone, but that these ecosystems of collaboration will not be technology-led, but technology-enabled. For the last several years, actually, Nandan, myself, and many of our colleagues have been working on some of these very complex challenges, including education, including water, including financial inclusion, and several others. And we have sort of abstracted some of the philosophical underpinnings of what we are trying to achieve, and we call it societal platform thinking. So what we mean by that is, while there will be many platforms that are digital in nature and that are trying to address societal problems, there still needs to be a horizontal underpinning of values that ensure that the technologies and the frameworks that are deployed actually achieve certain clear societal goals, such as universal access, inclusion, and especially restoring agency to everybody who needs to be a part of the solution and not remain part of the problem. So what we call societal platform thinking is sort of very nicely dovetailing with what Omidyar is calling NODE. And so what it means is that the technology is there, but technology has to be used to design for inclusion, to design for creative collaboration, to design for co-creation of solutions, and not just to create cookie cutter impact at scale. So for us, as for Omidyar, these are very important questions that underpin a lot of our work. Pratham Books, which I co-founded in 2004. And right then, even though the technologies were not so advanced as they are now, what we understood is that if you wanted to put a book in every child's hand, then you could not just rely on that current ecosystem of publishers to deliver the goods to all of society's children. So therefore, you have to unlock the potential of everybody in the community in this nation of storytellers. And we thought, how will we make sure that we can increase the number of writers, illustrators, translators, editors, so that we can break open this whole question of taking stories in the form of books and in the form of technology-enabled stories to all the children of India and maybe all the children of the world. And so we use some of the principles that now we are calling societal platform thinking, which is that instead of pushing one solution down the pipe, you see how will you distribute the ability to solve. And once you understand that there is a storyteller everywhere, that there are translators everywhere, then suddenly what seemed like a scarce resource, which is just a few writers and a few publishers, suddenly breaks open and allows a lot of people to participate in the creation, in creating more public goods for all. So today at Pratham Books, after 15 years, you will see the results. Millions and millions and millions of children have been able to get books, physical books in their hand where there is no access to technology, and online stories wherever there is access to technology. And even if they're online stories, somebody can print them out on any piece of paper and distribute them everywhere, even if there is no access. So that's how you design for inclusion, by using online and offline together and involving and enmeshing the community in trying to be part of the solution. What's exciting is that by using today's digital infra, we can redesign a sort of collaborative approach to solving complex societal problems. Some of the other things we talk about when we talk about societal platform thinking is, how do you make sure that technology and data, for example, Omidyar is talking a lot about governance of these digital ecosystems. How are they going to be governed, right? So I think we talk about 3 layers. So one is the creation of the basic shared open public digital infra, which is like the spine or the backbone. On top of that, there's another layer of co-creation, where that distributing the ability to solve comes in. So you are adding more and more nodes where people discover each other, work with each other to solve that particular problem that the platform is set up for. And then you have the amplification network on top, where it is spread out through various ways, online and offline, so that many more people can start building on and expanding at scale what the shared digital infra has allowed the co-creators to do. And when I say co-creators, not just the experts, it could be almost anybody, right? As we are talking about empowering teachers through Diksha, we are also understanding that that same shared public infra also allows parents to get involved, allows grandparents to get involved, allows an older sibling to get involved, anybody who is around the child, and anybody who has access to even a shared digital device, so that you can use the power of that technology to unleash the agency of everybody around the child. So that was briefly the example of Diksha. And again, I say we are not technology-led, but we must be technology-enabled, because there is a huge digital divide out there that we still have to fill, and we just have to cover it, because the fact is that the future is digital, and we must enable every single person to have access to digital, some kind of digital devices, even if they are shared. So that is an unfinished business of both the state and the market. Point I want to leave you with is that we do need to create a digitally enabled civil society as well. Civil society needs to come into this digital age without resisting it, because there are many issues that are going to come up of privacy, of access, of undesirable things that technology can unleash. And we need a civil society that is willing to tackle those problems head on and become part of the solution on the digital platforms themselves. So that remains a bit of an unfinished task, even as we are all trying to build out these open digital ecosystems. Emphasize at the end of my address is that underlying all this ecosystem of platforms that are developing, that are really very exciting 21st century ways of addressing complex societal problems, underlying all that, and the most important element is the philosophical thinking, the societal platform thinking with its core values of distributing agency, distributing the ability to solve, making sure there is contextual resolution of problems, therefore that the technology structures we create are not uniform but unified, and allowing many people to come onto the platform and do what they do best, whether it is Samaj, Bazaar or Sarkar. But what is the most exciting thing about these new open digital ecosystems is, unlike closed market ecosystems, these are public goods. These are meant for participation of more and more people in the appropriate and contextual way. So underlying all this is the fact that these are Samaj-based platforms, that these are societal platforms, these are public goods-based platforms, and they invite all of Samaj to participate. For me, that is the most exciting potential of these new ecosystems that are coming up, and they share common core values and they allow Samaj to participate fully. Hopefully, this will help us really solve some of the most complex issues that we have been facing and some of the new things that are emerging. I thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I apologize for not being there in person. I wish you all the best for the conference. Thank you and namaste.